I'm DJing to people who are the same age, but I'm thinking about what I'm going to put in the school lunches the next day. The world of DJing and dance music and club culture was, in the very nature of how it worked, kind of shutting me out. Like this kind of feeling of the walls closing in, you know, just like I can't. The DJs grow up and the crowd stay the same age. Everyone will relate to the feeling of the word coasting, right? When you're coasting. I guess I was feeling that a little bit at the BBC, and especially with DJing. So they're two very different things, but with the BBC, I felt, I loved my job and I'm so grateful for it and all of that. But I think I did feel a little coasty. I felt like I was coasting a bit, you know? And there's a point where you feel like I should be more grateful for the fact that I'm getting sent brilliant music every week and I get to play this on the radio, but I don't feel excited enough for what this is. I don't feel like I'm serving my audience right now in the right way. I'm not on their level when it comes to how excited I should be about what this is. So that was a conscious decision to take myself out of that and be able to have someone replace me who serves them who are at the peak of their fucking excitement about, you know, that. And I still love broadcasting and I still want to broadcast, but it will be in a different way. With regards to DJing, I feel like the problem with DJs that they always say is that the DJs grow up and the crowd stay the same age. And that's what happens. You feel yourself growing and growing. So when I started out DJing, I was flinging myself in the crowd. I had a problem with crowd surfing. It was like, stop fucking crowd surfing, Annie. It was constant. I'd get hammered. I'd be like hugging people. We'd have after parties and then after parties. I'd get no sleep. I'd fall asleep in Ibiza airport, face down, waiting for the flight. Like I had the best time. But then life catches up with you when you have kids and you grow up and you have other priorities. So fast forward 10 years, I'm DJing to people who are the same age, but I'm thinking about what I'm going to put in the school lunches the next day, right? I'm thinking about how much sleep I'm going to have in the pillow on the way home in the back of this car before my kids wake up at 6 o'clock, and how I'll be able to get through the working day tomorrow. I started dividing my time in increments of kind of 15 minutes because I was so stressed out about not being able to have the time to sleep, to rest, to then be a good parent, to be able to do my job properly. It became like this kind of feeling of the walls closing in, you know, just like I can't please everyone. So at that point, it was like, this isn't sustainable. It's just not sustainable. I can't keep doing this. And I started DJing a lot less because of that. The world of DJing and dance music and club culture was, in the very nature of how it worked, kind of shutting me out because of how I was changing as a person. But then I kind of opened a door and made it work for me and a lot of other people. And when I do the before midnight shows, people just come up and say, thanks. They're just like, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. I'm 52 and I feel like I can belong here and I can come out. And, you know, it's not just people in their 50s. It's all ages. It's club kids. It's mothers and sons. It's, people in their 70s. It's the most beautiful atmosphere. I've never DJed to a crowd like it because they're so kind and open and it's not really that druggy. Everyone's just there. It's their one night out. They invest so much in it and they're there to have a good time. It's nice to know that my own feelings about something were echoed by so many other people. And I don't know any other women in their 40s really who are doing what I do. So I was coming at it from a very unique perspective, which is women in their 40s just aren't listened to in music industry. Music industry is run by men mostly, right? So when you have a woman in her 40s, they're kind of forgotten about, right? I don't think people think about women in their 40s or 50s when it comes to selling music. And they really should. It's a big, big industry. There's a lot of income there. There's a lot of investment of time. There's some great taste. And it's been wonderful to kind of feel like I can give those women a space in the world of clubbing.
Zooming back then into that part of your life where you described yourself as having a knot in your stomach. The quote I read is, I've learnt that for the past 6 years. I've had a knot in my stomach. I had no idea it was there until it's gone.
Yeah. Yeah.
I could relate to that.
Yeah? How?
The feeling, because the broader context of what you were saying there is this feeling that you're like not going to do a good job at pretty much anything at the same time, and almost like a building sense of guilt or trying to find a way to slow down time. And it's always kind of hanging over you. And then you can kind of feel it in your chest. I mean, that's kind of what I took from it, is walking around with a sense of guilt. And I just need 5 more minutes to sleep or to be this or to do well for this person.
Yeah. It's a horrible feeling, isn't it? When you don't feel like you can do anything good enough.
It's like the absence of peace, isn't
it?
Yeah,
it's the opposite of peace. It's a constant feeling of kind of turbulence in your head, constantly being pushed and pulled. So when you take that out, again, I was too busy. I keep talking, I keep going back to it, but I keep talking about checking in with myself. I was too busy to do that. I hadn't done that. I never did that. I was never like spiritual or into any of that stuff because I was too busy. It was like, I don't have time for anything apart from just getting up and getting through my day. My friends used to take the piss out of me because everything was like 5-minute increments. They'd call me, I'd be like, cool, give me the headlines. How are you? I don't have time for a full, it was always that. It was always like, how can we truncate all of this into as short a time as possible so I can move on to the next thing
and do more.
Yeah, and do more, or just like maintain. I wasn't even about doing more; it was just maintaining at that point. So when I made the decision that I was going to leave radio, it's important to know the context of which that happened. So I didn't just walk away from the career and be like, see ya, I'm just going to see what happens. I obviously took a couple of years to try out some different avenues. And these were avenues that I felt very passionate about, that I really wanted to do. So one was writing and one was podcasting. And podcasting was a reaction to the BBC. It was definitely me being like, I want to own something that with regards to my own broadcasting. I want to control it. I love the BBC. I will, fly the flag for the BBC forever, but it can be very frustrating working for a huge institution because there's so many islands, there's so many departments. It's very hard to get something off the ground. So I wanted to be a broadcaster outside of the BBC and see how that felt. So that was podcasting. And then writing was something that was very much not professional or career orientated at all. That was for my soul. That was like, I want to try and learn something. I know I loved this. I want to try and do it again. And also, I think in retrospect, it was a way of me trying to understand myself, because they say that about writing, like writing is a way to know yourself. So I thought if I wrote, in hindsight, maybe it was a kind of weird subconscious way of me trying to climb out of the panic. It was kind of like, I know if I make myself dedicate time to writing, then I will have to confront myself. I will have to look in the mirror. And I know deep down that there's something wrong, but I just don't have the time to confront it. So I was doing writing. I did a course, a 6-month course. I was also doing podcasting. That was on top of DJing, on top of doing my 5 shows a week, on top of everything else that was going on. So I had 2 years of total chaos of trying to juggle everything, right? And it was after those 2 years when I was like, okay, I know enough. I know I love writing enough. I know I love podcasting enough that I can give these a go. I'm going to take myself out of radio now. I'm going to take myself out of what was essentially my day job and give myself the space I need to really pursue these things. And that's when the knot left. When I made the decision to leave is when the knot left. When I called my boss and said, I'm out.
If you love the Diary of a CEO brand and you watch this channel, please do me a huge favor. Become part of the 15% of the viewers on this channel that have hit the subscribe button. It helps us tremendously, and the bigger the channel gets, the bigger the guests.